Good afternoon, seniors. This is Sandra from the Lebanon Albany Senior Center. Today I'm going to just show you a few things you can do with all of these doggone empty tin cans that you probably are collecting. Yeah, just an ordinary tin can. Because you're using a lot more canned goods right now, or for whatever reason you save them. I save them because I hate throwing them away, even though I recycle. So we have, let's put these three aside. And this is a really fun project in my opinion, and it's very relaxing, although you may not think so. We just have paper rolls, rolled paper, and that paper comes old book pages. I mean, really old. Well, I didn't use the photos, just the text part. I cut the pieces down so that it's as tall as the can. Now there's a lip on the can here and here and here. So what I did is I measured how tall it is from the bottom of the lip over here to the top of the lip over here, and in this case it's 3 3/4. So I measured that and cut the paper 3 3/4 tall. Now, for my little rolls, it didn't matter how wide it was, because we're going to roll it in this direction anyway. So I cut off the edges where there's no text, and therefore, that's how wide I made the panel, the piece of paper. Now, if you have a bigger sheet, a bigger book page or something, that's okay. Just cut it wherever you feel comfortable. So, now I wanted the text to go in the direction of regular text. If you were to look closely at what I've done here, I started out not doing that. There are a few rolls where the text goes this way. So when I rolled it, the text was going up and down. So those are hidden some places within the rolls here. To do this, I'm using ordinary white, pretty much ordinary white glue. It's a fast drying. This one's called Art Glitter Glue. Has nothing to do with glitter, except you can use this to glue down glitter, if that makes any sense. Okay, so to get the rolled paper, I started out rolling it around my pencil. So you just get it started and roll. Then when you get to the edge, make sure your ends line up. If it doesn't, just kind of manipulate it. Get your glue. Like I said, you just need a very little bit on the edge, and then roll it over. And you see, this is why I don't like liquid glue, because I'm very messy. But we just want to glue that edge down, and this is very fast drying. And then we slide out the pencil and you have your paper straw. And I see I didn't quite get that straight, so we just trim the edges. Now again, I used white glue to glue these down to the tin can. You can use hot glue gun, but then again, I'm very clumsy and I burn myself more times than not. So I decided plain ordinary white glue would be just fine. And now look at that. I rolled, this is one of the ones that I rolled differently. The words go up and down instead of across. That's okay, doesn't matter. Make that a game for whoever's looking at it. Say, can you find the pieces that are different? Okay, then I just ran some glue along. It always helps if you don't have glue stuck. Yeah, okay, well, let's pretend there's plenty of glue on there. And line this up. Oh, well, for pity's sake, look at that. It's too long. Carefully pick it off and line it up for that one and go, oh, it's too long. So you just throw that one over there. We're not going to do that. That was demonstrating how to roll them up. Okay, so we'll try this again. And it should not be this difficult to get the glue out. So I'm just using an ordinary straight pin to open that channel of, and well, for pity's sake. Here we go. You see? There we go. Sandra makes an awful mess with the liquid glue. Okay, yes, well,
You're just going to glue in that.
then we have baby wipes to mop up the extra glue. And then we put this down here and line it up and hold it briefly while it semi-dries. Now the good thing about this liquid glue and most white glues, that they dry clear. So even though you see some white glue maybe up in here, in a few minutes it will dry clear. And okay, let's try this again. Flows beautifully. Beautiful. Okay. Then you toss it across the room. Okay, let's try this again.
Throwing things at me, Sandra.
So many ways you can have fun at home. Roll these things up and then put glue on it and toss it around. Okay, so there we go. We lined that one up. I know you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's a good thing she's not doing that whole can. We'd be here all day. Yes, as a matter of fact, you might be here for a while, but luckily I spent a time putting all the other straws on the other day. Okay, so now we're coming up to the end here, the finish, and here's where we should pay more attention to how the size, how well or how small we've rolled these up, so that we can get them to come together without squishing them too much, and yet, whoops, and you're not leaving very many big gaps. Okay, so we have a little bit of space left over, and we want to take a look at these. This one looks to be the skinniest, and put our glue on there, and take this and just press it down. You might have to squish it up a little to get it in there. Wiggle it around. Check the bottom, make sure it's making contact with the can, top and bottom. Then you could sit around for 10 minutes or so just holding it together, but that's not really necessary since this is quick dry, fast drying glue. Okay, there we are. Now that looks rather plain and boring, which in fact it is. But you could take flowers from the dollar store. At least I think that's where I got these. And yes, you could stick them in here, and that's not going to look good. You just pop their little heads off, and you can, okay, once you pop it off, you have the this plastic piece still on there, which makes it a little difficult to glue it down there. So you can pop that piece off, and then you have this piece sticking up, but that holds the center of the flower on. So we don't want to remove that completely. So just take your craft scissors and cut that little piece off. Use your quick dry glue, put a lot of it. Now, since I didn't bring my hot glue gun, we're not going to use that. We're going to use the white glue. But if you have your hot glue gun, this would be the perfect time to use the hot glue. So we put that down there. Make sure it has good. Now this will take a while to dry and make sure it's stuck on there. I'm simply going to put a rubber band around this to hold it down while it dries. And then when it's dry, I'll take the rubber band off. So that's one way of sprucing up the outside of the can. You can also continue all the way around here with more flowers, and it would be a very pretty little vase or pencil holder. Put your ruler in there. It's a little tipsy, but that's okay.
Always decorative scissors.
So that's one thing you can do, one way to decorate empty tin cans. Something with a more masculine flair would be taking your tin can and some twine, some jute twine. Now I was thinking this was a lot thicker than it really is. Thicker in this case would be better, otherwise it takes forever to wind it around here. This top part, I started out using my hot glue gun, and after several rounds of burning fingers, and you can see that they're not butted up against each other, they're kind of spaced out. I didn't like that, so I stopped using the hot glue. I put a piece of decorative paper right here that has a wood grain, and then down here I started out with my ever popular white glue, and it took me a little while to start getting the hang of it. So you can see how it gaps a lot right here, but as I continued on down, I got the hang of it, and it's nice and tight for about the last inch of this tin can. And so I just cut off a longer piece, and we'll finish gluing it, wrapping around there. And then we'll have a jute or rope or twine coated tin can. Now you might notice that these cans are black underneath the design. That's because I spray painted them. I didn't like the silver. I just wanted something darker, and I only had black spray paint with me at home. So I used the black spray paint, sprayed the whole outside. I left the inside unsprayed, even though this is an ugly can on the inside. So I can go back and spray the inside. I just have to make sure I cover up the outside while I'm spraying inside. So here's an example, and depending on how you want to decorate the outside, you don't have to spray it, get it completely black. Mainly just the edges, because that's what will show after you put your paper or your twine or whatever you're decorating it with. And these have really pretty copper colored insides, so I didn't want to spray paint the inside. So here's a threesome, or what will be a threesome. A large can, I think this was tomato sauce, which is large enough to support your rulers and taller pieces. Then a little can, okay, this is the tomato paste size can. We're getting a theme here. And this little one, I think, was also a tomato paste can. And as you can see, I just sprayed it, and then I cut a piece of paper, which is, again, measured from the top of here, the top of the lip, the edge, and the bottom of this edge, measured it across here, cut it that tall, and we're going to glue that around like that. So we'll have a nice, pretty, nicely decorated can. Now, the border, this piece of orange down here, is a scrap piece from the back side, from the opposite side of this. So I thought that would be a nice decoration, and makes it look like you might have a ribbon or a border or some kind of additional piece down there. So I'm not going to bore you with showing you how to glue. Besides, it's way too messy for me to do that in public. But glue that around, and that'll make a nice little addition to the three can set. Now for the flowers, for these flowers, they are from a flower set, a set of flowers. Comes in a, oh, price tag, ignore that. Comes in a plastic container. I bought them like this, and they're various colors. And I thought these colors went well with this background paper. So I also used a set of brads, and there are two sizes, the larger ones and the smaller ones. So with the larger flower here and the layer of two others, I used the bigger brad. This one, after I did it and I glued it down, I decided that might be brad's just a little too big for those flowers. Same thing here. I decided, well, I don't know, I think that's a little too large. So over here, see, I kept going. You'd think I'd get the point by then. So I tried a smaller brad right here. And I like that better because it's, well, there. It's more within the scale of the small petals. So let me put these back before I drop them. So of course in this case I have several different colors, and I thought this color would look good with these flowers. So we pick a flower petal. Let's layer this. These sets of flowers, they come in, let's see, 3 different sizes. 1, 2, 2 different sizes. And coordinating colors, so you can stick a brad through the center. There you have your pretty little flower. And of course, you know, when you're using brads, you just fold those ends down, and there you have your nice little flower. Again, I used the white glue, put a whole big glob of glue on the back here, and then stuck it down and held it for a while, because in this case you are gluing a metal piece and a paper flower to paper, and you want to make sure there's good contact between the pieces, and so the glue will set. You want to hold on to it for, I don't know, maybe a minute, maybe a little less. If you pick it up and it falls off, then you know you haven't held it long enough. Of course, if it didn't fall off right then, that would have been embarrassing, because it's hard to demonstrate something when it doesn't cooperate. So I put 3 of the single petals, single layers there with the big brads. And this is a double layer, obviously. And this one is a triple layer. So I took one of these where I have the doubles from this collection, and I had this larger flower from a different packet of flowers, and put them all together with a brad and glued it down. Now, if you don't want to buy one of these already prepared sets, you could come back over here. We have this bouquet of Dollar Tree flowers, And as we did a moment ago, we rip the head off. Sorry, long thing. We take the back piece off. Yes. And then we can just disassemble the whole flower. And look at this. You've got 1 and 2, 3. Take it all the way down. There's the centerpiece. And 2 more pieces. So you actually have, whoops, not that one, 5 flower pieces and a center that you can either combine back again and use like we did here. Use the whole thing. Or you could use just 1 or 2 of these pieces and put something decorative on the inside. You don't actually have to use this. You could, if you have any broken pieces of jewelry that have a pretty round centerpiece, you could glue that in there. If you're gluing, I think I said this earlier, if you're gluing these things down to a metal or another item, I would recommend doing the hot glue. Just don't touch the hot glue while it's hot. If you are using hot glue, you probably already know this, and you have this, yes, you have this back together, and so you will put your hot glue, cut this top off. So you want to glue this down with hot glue. Put your hot glue all the way around here, and then you want to use something other than your finger to hold it down while it dries. And then pretend I've already done that, and there you are. It'll be nicely glued down. You won't have burned your fingers, and you'll be much happier. So here's another piece of flowers from a different Dollar Tree bouquet. Now these are smaller, obviously smaller size. And I just cut one of the flowers off, and you can actually stick those in there and make a flower like that. Or, whoops, take this back and stick it in and you have a little tinge. Now the good thing, the really nice thing about this type of fabric, flower, is that if you have any spray inks or spray dyes, mists of some sort, you can actually spray these and it will turn the color, dye it a different color. So you actually can save money by buying white flowers and having your sprays and spray these to whatever color you like that will coordinate with your project. So there you have it. That's all for today. So go out, go try this, save those cans, run them through the dishwasher, get them nice and clean, and then do something with a can. It's a great project with grandkids. One final thing I'd like to remind you, in case you hadn't noticed, These are the old-fashioned type of cans where you have to use a can opener and open it. If you have a good can opener, then it will be a clean cut around here. The new style cans where you have the peel off lids, they're much easier for an individual to open. But notice when you peel that off, there's a very sharp edge rim on the inside where the lid had been sealed down to before you ripped it off. I tried to use an empty cat food can, and of course they're the ones that you peel off. When I stuck my hand in and I removed my hand, my knuckles rubbed up against that sharp edge, and I didn't like what happened. Blood is an ugly sight. So be careful of the cans you use. If you open something large like this and there's some rough edges, like right there, first I used a pair of pliers, yes, thank you. Pliers to squish it back down, and then you can use a nail file, an emery board, to sand it down just a little, or sandpaper, heavy grit sandpaper, to smooth it out so that you don't have those rough edges. So be safe. I don't want everybody cutting up their fingers, and have fun with this. Thank you. Chat later.